I've been looking,
searching, trying to find the right way to walk. Stay beside me, guide me, and try me. I wanna walk in your light.
I've been looking,
searching, trying to find the right way to walk.
The Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. And whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemy, my faith and trust I put all in thee. Believe you got the world in your hand. You bless me, Lord, I know I can stand.
Show me the way, Lord.
I will be faithful, for I am desolate and afflicted. Lord, show me the way.
Okay, please find your seat. We're going to get started. Please find your seat. And now we will have the reading of the law. Found in Exodus, the 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Okay.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Now let's go in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Go into Revelation chapter 22, read verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So praise God for the reading of the law. Because that's the difference between a sinner and a saint.
Yep.
As always, I'm glad to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, sisters and brothers, the world is going on in the way that the Lord have called it, and the people that are in the church should know about it. But nobody is talking about it. And also, there's a man, sisters and brothers, that the world thinks is the holiest man on the planet. But this world is going to find out that he works for everybody but God. In fact, the Bible called him the Abomination of Desolation. The Abomination of Desolation. Nobody won't deal with it, sister and brother, because the world don't like reading the Bible, because if you're going to read the Bible the way it's written, you cannot be politically correct. You cannot call evil good. And you can't say, I understand, when somebody's breaking the law. We have to deal with it. So we're going to deal with this abomination of desolation. We're going to show you this is a man that's going to come in the name of the Lord, and he's going to bring through the armies of Europe, Western Europe, he's going to bring more damage on this world, and it's going to create more chaos, and it's going to be more killing than it's ever been since there have been a creation. And the Lord's going to tell us this. But we think that this gentleman is holy. Now, when Jesus was here, his apostles were showing him the temple, and then they asked him some questions. So we're going to start this in Matthew, St. Matthew, the 24th chapter. St. Matthew's chapter 24. Because these kind of lessons, sisters and brothers, the Lord wants you to understand, because your understanding is what's going to deliver you. Things are simply not like what you've been told. Like you're going to be here, and then when Christ comes, some going to be raptured off and some going to be left. But I'm going to let you I'm going to let you see something, sisters and brothers, before Jesus comes. You have a great deal you're going to have to survive. Right. I mean, a great deal you're going to have to survive. You got to survive this person. So we're going to start this in St. Matthew's chapter 24. St. Matthew's chapter 24. And we're going to see what Jesus said to his apostles. Okay, 24, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. 24 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
Now you see, sisters and brothers, people don't look at the Word of God and what Jesus says prophecy. They don't look at the Bible as prophecy. So they were showing Jesus his temple. And Jesus said, look, the day going to come when there's not going to be one stone left upon another. This temple is going to be torn down. And that happened in 70 A.D., sisters and brothers, when the General Titus took down Jerusalem. I mean, he destroyed Jerusalem to the ground and destroyed the temple to the ground. That wailing wall they have over there is not a part of the temple. It's all that simple. So now, when he told them this, then they had other questions that they wanted to ask him. Go ahead and read.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
Now they ask him, when is this temple going to be torn down? What is the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Because people think that this world just going to keep going on and on and on the way it is. No, it's not. Earth is going to be around forever, but the world is not going to be like you think it's going to be. So now he answered him, and this answer here is very interesting, and it's to be paid attention to. Go ahead and read.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed that no man deceive you. Go ahead and read.
For many shall come in my name.
For many shall come in my name. Go ahead.
Saying, I am Christ.
And saying that I am the Christ. Go ahead.
And shall deceive many.
And they're going to deceive many. So you're not talking about the guy out there talking about devil worship and dealing with a whole lot of other things that don't have nothing to do with the Bible. Jesus warned us to look to the pulpit.
Yep.
That's why he told you. And the people that stands in the name of Jesus. That's why he warned you against. He didn't warn you about the radical in the streets. He didn't warn you about the guy that's insulting people on the corner. He warned you about guys that's standing right here where I am. Because they're going to say that Jesus is the Christ. Everybody going to trust him. They're going to use his name, but they're going to put a whole different doctrine on the table, sister and brother. And most people have been in church all their life, and they haven't heard of what you're about to hear today. So he said, take heed that no man deceive you. Many going to come in my name, saying that I am the Christ, or I am the Messiah, or I am the anointed one, and shall deceive many. How many street hustlers you hear preaching about Jesus on the corner? Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11, and read it.
And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many.
Many false prophets shall arise. He let you know they're going to come in the name of the Lord, and they're going to deceive many. But he's going to give you some concrete evidence of what to look for, because they want to know when the temple going to be torn down. That went down in 7 A.D. When will you return, and when will it be the end of the world? So that's what we're looking for now. The last two, the first have been accomplished, have been done. Skip down to verse 14 and read.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
So there's another thing that has to happen. This gospel shall be preached into all the world as a witness, and then shall the end come. What you mean a witness? So when you stand before the Lord, you can't say, well, Lord, I ain't never heard that. And believe me, sisters and brothers, this gospel is going into all of the world, because the world weighs in even here to the Israel of God. You'd be surprised at the emails and the telephone calls I get from all over the globe, because they're hearing this. The ones that believe it and adhere to it and start walking in it, they're going to be all right. But the ones that reject it, it's going to be a witness against it. Skip down to verse 14. Now, this is the one that nobody pays attention to. Verse 14, go ahead.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand.
Now, how many times, everybody come out of somebody's church, how many times have you heard of a person that's called the Abomination of Desolation? They don't even teach about it. Teach you how good Jesus is. We know how good Jesus is, but we know how bad it can be too. That's what they don't teach. So when you shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, well, you mean Jesus is telling you to go back and read prophecy? Yes, but people have been told, well, you're a New Testament Christian. All prophecy has been fulfilled. If that's the case, then why did Jesus send you back to it? Because there's much you have to learn, sister and brother. What verse are we?
We have 16.
Go ahead.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So now you got a lot of people in Jerusalem. They don't know it. Judea, that covers the whole Jerusalem, all the towns in it. If you there, the Lord said, you better flee into the mountains. Go ahead.
Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
Go ahead.
Neither let them which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Now that's how urgent it is when you see this guy. You're going to know who it is before you get out of here. It's urgent. You have people where when you see him, you got 6 months to get ready. Some of them talking about the 7-year tribulation. So when you see him, you got 3.5 years to get ready, and you leave. Sisters and brothers, it will be too late. It will be over with. This is real serious. The Lord had this here written so you will know that this is serious. If you are on the housetop, don't even go down and get your clothes. Come off the roof running.
Right. Yep.
That's how serious it is. Why? Skip down to verse 21. Verse 21 and go ahead.
For then shall be great tribulation.
But then shall be great tribulation. Go ahead.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Because that's going to be a time of trouble. that you have never seen the likes of anything this bad that's going to happen during this 3.5 years since there have been a world. Think about all the atrocities and all the ethnic cleansing and all of the murder that have gone on. It said, this is going to be worse than that. And it will never be a time this bad afterwards. That'll have to be a hard time. That'll have to be rough, sisters and brothers. And everybody here going to be on this earth. Ain't nobody going to be raptured off nowhere. Because you have ministers teaching, well, you know, the Lord going to rapture the church off, take the church up before the great tribulation. Boy, that's why the Bible said a lot of people are going to be killing preachers. That's in the book. But then that's another lesson. But go ahead and read.
22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
So except those days be shortened, there shall be no flesh saved. I mean, the Lord said this man would commit total suicide. And brother, boy, that's kind of that's a big statement. No, it's not. Everybody got nuclear weapons now. And they threatening with it. North Korea shaking a nuclear weapon. Russia threatening the rest of the world with nuclear weapons, talking about because of what is happening in Ukraine. America got nuclear weapons. Don't you know that North Koreans are mad at the Americans because a nuclear sub just rolled up into South Korea. And they say it's one of the most dangerous ships in the world. The most, it said. Everybody have nuclear weapons. So if somebody fire nuclear weapons at one, you think they ain't going to push the button and fire it back at you? When they get through pushing buttons, there ain't going to be nobody left on this earth. Because the ones that don't die from the initial blast, they're going to die from the nuclear fallout and the waste. This is what people got to understand. That's why the Lord said it ain't going to be, but He's going to cut it short. It's going to be bad. But just before they start pushing the buttons, Jesus is going to intervene. Because He said, if I don't, ain't going to be nobody for me to come to. Hey. Now let's go into Daniel. He referred you to Daniel, didn't He? Let's go into Daniel, the 7th chapter. Because, sisters and brothers, people don't understand that the Lord have told you what's going to go down on this earth. And the ones that prepared, that's the ones going to escape it. But if you're not prepared, you're going to have your problem. It won't be the Lord's fault. People always say, why did the Lord let this happen? Why He allow this? The Lord don't want to allow it. He tell you how to escape, but you will not obey Him, so you get caught. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Daniel 7 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed.
Go ahead.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter.
Now, this is the first year of Nebuchadnezzar's son that took over from him. But go ahead and read.
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Go ahead.
And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
Now these 4 winds and these 4 great beasts came up, sisters and brothers, are the nations of the Gentiles. The only ones that rule this earth entirely by themselves. These 4 winds. That's why the Lord called me to write the book called The 4 Winds of Heaven. So you could look at this prophecy that we're going to read and go into the history books and watch it come to pass. Not something that you can't prove. So these 4 great beasts strolled up on the sea. That's talking about the people. The scripture lets you know that the sea is mentioned people. Go ahead and read.
4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked.
Go ahead.
And it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Now, that's the Babylonian Empire. Nebuchadnezzar with the Babylons are the first men that ever ruled this whole earth without help. Go ahead and read.
And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear. And it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it.
Go ahead.
And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh.
Now, this is the Medo-Persian Empire. All you got to do is write them down and go and find out that all these empires came up in the order that the Lord called them. Go ahead and read.
After this I beheld and lo another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Now this is the Greek Empire. Everybody in order, sisters and brothers. Let's look at the 4th one. Go ahead.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
Now this is the Roman Empire. Roman Empire came after the Greek Empire. And the Roman Empire, that beast was so terrible. The Roman Empire was so terrible that the Lord didn't have a beast in the creation to call it after. So he just called it the terrible beast. Why is Rome so terrible? Because Rome not only destroyed you physically, they destroyed you spiritually. Out of Rome came all of this, what the world calls Christianity, that's totally contrary to what's written in the Bible. And these 10 horns let you know that the Rome is supposed to fall and rise 10 times. And then that 10th resurrection, that's going to be the last one before the Lord comes. And we looking at it is under the name of the European Union. 10 nations, sisters and brothers. Because it's supposed to rise and fall 10 times, and when it comes back again, it's going to be Western Europe led by 10 nations. But if you don't know this, you just looking at something, Europeans, they making all, no, you don't even look at that. When you think about Europe, you think about going on a trip. Verse 8, and go ahead.
I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root.
Go ahead.
And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Now this little horn, sisters and brothers, he came up and he plucked up 3 of the horns by the roots. Why is it? Who was they? The Vandals, the Ostrogoths, and the Huruli. Why? Because they would not go along with this little horn. Who is this little horn? The world called him the Pope. Go in history. It'll tell you the whole thing. All this is written. What we're going to show on you is written in history. First thing is, these 3 didn't go along with him, so he plucked him up by the root. Now the rest of them went along with it. But then that's another lesson. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15 and go ahead.
I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me.
Go ahead.
I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me to know the interpretation of the thing.
Now Daniel saw this thing coming up. He saw these 4 beasts, and he saw that little horn, and he saw what he did, but he didn't understand it, so he asked. I want to know, what is it that I'm looking at here? Go ahead and read.
These great beasts, which are 4 kings.
Well, it's actually 4 kingdoms, sisters and brothers. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. Go ahead.
Which shall arise out of the earth.
Go ahead.
But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
That lets you know when these get through ruling, the Lord will be here because he's going to put an end to his rule. And who are the saints of the Most High? They're going to be the people that's going to be in the first resurrection, sisters and brothers. Because the Lord said he's going to let them help him run this whole earth for 1,000 years. It's called the millennium period. But go ahead and read. What verse was that?
I finished 18.
Read just a little more.
All right. 19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Now Daniel wanted to know about this 4th beast, because that was a terrible beast. That's that Rome. People don't understand what Rome have done to this world. It didn't go away. Rome is still here. You just don't know it. Everything you got, Democratic government, Republican, all that started in Rome, sister and brother. Going to heaven started in Rome. Satan in the ground right now, barbecuing sinners, starting in Rome. But go ahead and read.
20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow.
Go ahead.
I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them.
Now don't you know, now these are the flesh and blood saints, the people that's doing this thing right. The Lord said he's going to make war with you. That's during this great tribulation, sister and brother, which start when the abomination of desolation move into the holy place. In other words, I'm going to speak plain. The people that call themselves Jews are going to build a temple over there. And these Europeans are going to install the Pope there. And once he's set in that temple, the abomination of desolation will be in the holy place. It's all that simple. And once the people that's really doing this truth and know it, he's going to make war against you. You don't know right now what's going on in Europe and Western Europe. Don't you know they're starting to make Sunday official Sabbath day? And they started to print in the calendars that way. And this is a sore spot with the papacy. They don't want you to be dealing, talking about the 7th day of the Sabbath day. They said Sunday is the Christian Sabbath day, and they're preparing to force it, sisters and brothers. And they're going to enforce it with some other things too. And if you find yourself outside of the place of safety, you are going to have a problem. So behold, the same horns made war with the saints and prevailed against them. The Lord is going to let his people, holy people, that's outside of the place of safety, some of them he's going to let die by the hand of this guy. And then everybody going to prove then if they are serving a God or not.
All right.
Go ahead and read the next verse.
22. Until the Ancient of Days came.
But how long they going to come? Until the Ancient of Days came. So you got 2 Ancient of Days, the Son and the Father. Both of them have been around forever. So when you see the Ancient of Days in one spot, it depends on what's written around him. That lets you know it's the Father. But then the Father's not coming now. First, Jesus coming. So this Ancient of Days that's coming right now is Jesus. Right. Until the Ancient of Days come, go ahead and read.
And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High.
Then judgment going to be given to the saints of the Most High. Now these are the saints that's going to be in the first resurrection. Yeah. They ain't the flesh and blood saints that this guy going to whoop on for 3.5 years. Right. Go ahead and read.
And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom.
And that's what's going to happen. The saints are going to possess the kingdom, sisters and brothers. Yep. So he wanted to know about this. Go ahead.
Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth.
Go ahead.
And shall tread it down and break it in pieces.
Now, so this is the Roman Empire. But the difference in the Roman Empire, the rest of them served their time and they went on in history. Babylon, history gone. Medo-Persian Empire, history gone. Greek Empire, gone. Roman Empire, got taken down once, tried again. That's why the Lord called me to write that book, to show you them 10 horns. Every one of them tried to recover, to restore the Roman Empire. All of them had the same symbols. Down to the last one that we know, but we've got one more to come. But the last one we know was Benito Mussolini. And you know what he wanted to do? To restore the Holy Roman Empire. He was the 9th one that tried to fix it. And the 10th one, we think we know who he is. But the whole thing is, they haven't settled yet. So let's go into Romans, Revelation, the 6th chapter. Revelation chapter 6. Because, sisters and brothers, People thinking, well, we shouldn't have to get off on that hard stuff. It ain't hard stuff. If it was hard, why did the Lord put it in the book? He wants you to know this. I'm sorry. Daniel's the 8th chapter. I'm sorry. Daniel's the 8th chapter. Daniel's chapter 8. Well, pay attention. Sometimes I get caught up in my own lesson. Because this stuff is scary to me. Why is it scary to me? Because I know it's going to happen. I have seen it happen. When I wrote the book, The Four Winds of Heaven, I started going into history books, and I said, wait a minute. This happened just like it was. And what really kind of, like the youngsters say, freaked me out is when I went into the Greek Empire and saw Alexander the Great and how he died young and his 4 generals took over just like the Bible said. I said, whoa. I was taught about Alexander the Great in school, but I didn't know that the prophecy wrote about him first. And the whole internal operation of the Greek Empire. That's when I kind of, like the young folks say, that's when I started to freak out. I said, wait a minute, this stuff is for real. You know, you always have a little doubt sometime in the back of your mind. But when I wrote that book, that purged all of the doubt that I had. I said, because everything came exactly the way the Lord called it. That means the Lord is the one that's controlling it. How can it go any other way?
Right.
So if all this happened in the past that I saw according to prophecy and history, what makes you think that it's not going to happen in the future like he called it? And I'm looking at it. Looking right at it. Daniel's 8, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Daniel's 8 and 1, because this guy is really something. Go ahead and read.
In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first.
Go ahead.
And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which was in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai.
Now, Daniel saw this vision. The Lord is showing Daniel what's going to go on. That's why Jesus said, the one that mentioned in Daniel the prophet. So if you want to know, you have to go read Daniel. So Daniel saw this vision. Go ahead and read.
Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before me a river of a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high.
Go ahead.
But one was higher than the other. And the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great.
Now this was the Medo-Persian Empire. The first horn represented the Medes. That's who took over after Nebuchadnezzar. And the second horn that came up higher is the Persian Empire. They was always together. Well, where are they now, Brother Boy? Still together. You know what they call now? Russia and Iran. People think the Iranians are Arabs. They are not. They are Gentiles. They are the Persians. And Medo-Persia has always been together. And they're going to be together, sisters and brothers, during the war of Armageddon. Nothing's going to change. But go ahead and read.
5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth.
Go ahead.
And touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Now, that he-goat is the Greek Empire. He come up on the world so quick, it's just like he didn't touch the ground. The Greek Empire did, under the leadership of Alexander the Great. Go ahead and read.
And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river.
Go ahead.
And ran unto him in the fury of his power.
Go ahead.
And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him.
Go ahead.
And smote the ram and brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him.
So now, the Greek Empire, we're going to show you, moved against Medo-Persia in anger. And he whipped this ram, and could nobody deliver this ram out of his hand. Go ahead and read.
But he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him.
Go ahead.
And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
Nobody could deliver the Persian because the Medes first, and the Persian was the last. The Persian was greater than the Medes. They obtained more notoriety. But still, you can go in your Bible, in your history book, and look up Medo-Persia, and then the Persian, then you look up Alexander the Great and see who knocked off the Persian. Alexander the Great, just like the Lord called him. That big horn, we're going to show you that was the first king of Greece. But go ahead and read.
8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. Now
that one horn was Alexander the Great, and he died early. His generals started fighting over the kingdom, and 4 of them end up in possession of the kingdom. But we have a lesson to break all that down precisely. But go ahead and read.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great,
go ahead,
toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land.
Now that's the western horn, which is the Roman horn, which came up later. And out of that little horn came Papa. And here's the one that this lesson is about. Go ahead and read.
And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them.
That's why I say he's going to make war with the saints. That's the host, sister and brother. He ain't going to be able to knock down no immoral, but those are the people that represent the Lord. He's going to jump us and he's going to stomp us. That's why I want to make sure that when it's time to go to that place of safety, I am getting on the plane. Go ahead and read.
11. Yeah, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host. And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down.
Now you see the people over there, they got their priesthood together and all that. Now they got the red heifer. They got 5 of them. They're going to start animal sacrifice after a while. This guy that Western Europe going to install is going to stop that when they installed him in the temple. That's the daily sacrifice he's going to cast down. Go ahead and read.
12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression.
Go ahead.
And it cast down the truth to the ground. And it practiced and prospered.
I mean, he cast the truth is already cast down to the ground. Most people have taught all their life that they're going to go to heaven. And Moses and Elijah in heaven, and Enoch was taken, he's in heaven. And Jesus came in St. John, the 3rd chapter, and told you that no man has been to heaven.
Right.
I guess Moses and Elijah and Enoch must have been pigs, huh? No man, that's an absolute, isn't it?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto the certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice?
Go ahead.
And the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot?
So we asked the question, how long is the Lord going to allow the daily sacrifice to be knocked down and this guy go in the sanctuary and trodden underfoot? How long is he going to be able to do all this stuff? Because the Lord is the one that brought this. Go ahead and read.
And he said unto me, until 2,300 days. Then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Now, this guy, I think the Great Tribulation going to be 1,260 days, and whatever amount of time that's left, that's what they're going to make, how many days they're going to sacrifice before Papa stop it, sister and brother. And he going to stop it. Go ahead and read.
15. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man.
Go ahead.
And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Uli, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision.
Now, who is Gabriel? He is the angel of light. He is the new Lucifer. He took Satan's place. He is the new light bringer. So now, when he turned around, he saw Gabriel, and he heard a voice said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Because this is what it's all about. It's about understanding. Because how can you perform something or avoid something or escape for something if you don't understand what you're dealing with?
Right.
Go ahead and read.
17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision.
He said, look, I want you to understand. At the time of the end shall be the vision. Right away. He put it in our days, and I do mean our days, sisters and brothers. Yep. Because Daniel, the second chapter, tells you about these 10 toes, or either the 10 horns or the 10 toes. He said, in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom. And we're looking at them kingdoms. The world don't know it because they don't have no understanding. We're looking at them. So skip down to verse 20. And he started to break it down to him. Verse 20, go ahead.
The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia.
Okay. So the ram that you saw are the kings of Media and Persia. The first one that took over from Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonians, was Darius the Mede. And then after him, the Persian, because both of them are there, the Persian rose to the height. So them 2 horns that on that ram was represented the Medes and the Persians. In other words, the Russians and the Iranians. Go ahead and read.
And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king.
The first king of Greece. Look in your history. Is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great's father was called Philip the Barbarian, but he was only king of Macedonia. They assassinated him. Alexander the Great assassinated the one that killed his father, and he put together the Greek Empire. And he ruled the empire. But he died young. We reading prophecy, but I'm telling you recorded history, sister and brother. A lot of people don't think, well, I come to hear about the Word of God. I don't want to hear no history lesson. The Word of God is history lesson. And if you don't pay no attention to it, that history is going to roll you over.
Yeah.
So that first king of the Greeks of Greece was Alexander the Great. Go ahead and read.
22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power.
And I'll tell you the name of them 4 kings that's going to take over when I get to that lesson. Can't teach 2 lessons at the same time. But these was his generals. They took over. Go ahead and read.
And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full,
go ahead.
A king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up.
And that is talking about Papa. Fierce counsel and understand dark sentences. People think dark sentences mean evil. No, that means stuff that the world don't know about.
Right.
Because they didn't study the Word of God. That's why when the Lord comes, he's going to take the beast and the false prophet, the leaders of the European and the religious leader of Rome, and he's going to cast them in the lake of fire. They ain't going to even stand in judgment like the rest of the people. You know why? Because they understand dark sentences. They know what's going on. Now let's go into Romans. Revelation, rather, the 6th chapter. Revelation, the 6th chapter. They know what's going on. And we're going to show you when this starts. And it's going to start, sisters and brothers. When this guy comes that magnifies himself above every god. In other words, and start to show it right now. Then, don't you know they have modified the 10 Commandments? But you wouldn't know because you don't read no book. And you don't do no research. I always hear people, oh, no, they didn't do that. On what do you base your information? Well, I just feel like it. Yeah, right. When I was a teenager, I felt like I could whoop a whole school until the fight was over. And if I ever face it again, I'm going to do something real smart. Wrong. Revelation 6:1. This is beginning. This is when it starts out. They call it the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. What I call the 4 horsemen of Revelation, sisters and brothers. 6:1. Okay, go ahead.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals,
and
I heard as if it were the noise of thunder.
Go ahead.
One of the four beasts saying, "Come and see."
Go ahead.
And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow.
Now he said a white horse. See, Jesus is going to come on a white horse. You know, we're talking about symbolism here. So now he got to come also on a white horse. In other words, in the name of righteousness. And so a bow was given unto him. What's he going to do? Go ahead and read.
And a crown was given unto him.
And he have a crown. Don't you know that the Pope have a crown? He is king, sisters and brothers. He's the king of Vatican City. You didn't know that? Well, you're going to find that out today. Go ahead and read.
And he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Yes, sir, in the name of religion, and he got a whole army to back him. Go ahead and read.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see."
Go ahead.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
Now, what's going to happen when somebody tries to conquer you? Ain't you going to turn and fight back? The people don't understand how the church started. It didn't start persuading you through the good word. You two going to be this. If not, then they would assault you. This papacy had an army, sisters and brothers, that worked under his tutorage. You're going to do what he said, you're going to die. It's all that simple. So now, this time when he started to enforce the first day of the week as the Sabbath day, enforce the saints in heaven, enforce Satan in the ground barbecuing people, somebody going to put up resistance. So he going to send an army there. What armies he got? He going to have 31 armies over there that's led by 10 nations. That's called the European Union. And so when he started push, they're going to push back. That's why that second horse said he took peace from the earth. Go ahead and read.
And that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword.
Go ahead.
And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse.
Go ahead.
And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand.
Go ahead.
And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny.
Go ahead.
And see that thou hurt not the oil and the wine."
That's famine, sisters and brothers. Because when war break out, production stop, people start getting hungry. You ain't got time to farm or do nothing. It is fighting. And some of it's going to be forced famine. In other words, you ain't going to be able to buy or sell unless you receive a mark that's called the mark of the beast, which is going to be in your forehead or in your right hand. But Brother Boyd, that's absurd. No, it's not. Go back to Ash Wednesday. This priest going to put a cookie in your mouth? And he's going to put a mark on your forehead, the mark of the cross, or either he's going to put it in your right hand. Go back. But don't nobody know it because don't nobody study. You don't understand that he is preparing you to receive a mark that's called the mark of the beast. And if you get that mark, you got a problem.
Yeah.
But then that's another lesson. Go ahead and read. What verse?
7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say,
Go ahead.
"Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse.
Go ahead.
And his name that sat on him was Death.
Now look, they got a movie that had come out which is called A Pale Horse. Y'all notice that? I won't look at it. I'm going to wait till the real thing happens. Then I'll see that from the wilderness. Then there'll come a pale horse. Why they call him pale? Go ahead and read.
And his name that sat on him was Death.
And his rider was called Death. Go ahead.
And hell followed with him.
That's the grave. Go ahead and read.
And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
The power was given him to kill under any means necessary. That's why I say it's going to be a time of trouble which has never been before, sisters and brothers. They ain't going to give him power over the fourth part of the earth. That's the part that they're going to rule the economy. And we're going to give you a good example. It's coming now. And ain't nobody paying no attention to it. I want you to put up something on the board that's called the Tsar of Brussels. I'm going to let you know what's going on. This guy here, this might be the guy. I don't know. But I want you to read right there what we have in the news clipping there. Okay? What I have marked up? We can't read it all. Go ahead and read.
Most of Europe's leaders felt security matters should remain NATO's preserve. Thatcher opposed a common currency. West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl demurred on a central bank that left the construction of a single integrated market with a population of 320 million, a gross national product second only to that of the United States and more than a quarter of the global trade.
Go ahead.
The EC is potentially the richest market the world has ever known. And for the time being, Jacques Delors and his commission on Europe's closest thing to a government.
No, so this is the guy that's running it now. We don't know if he's going to be the last one, but he's going to be under 10 nations. Read that other about them 10 nations. He's going to be over. What's it over now? What does it say there? Go ahead.
The accord allows the nations to revive plans for a common defense policy in 1996, with the possibility of turning the Western European Union, a security group, into the Union's defense arm. 10 nations already belong to the Western Europe Union. Only Denmark and neutral Ireland are outside.
10 nations. And they are there now, sisters and brothers, and the world ain't paying no attention to it. But this is prophecy. And I don't know if this Delors is going to be the political head. But we know one thing. Whoever the head is, he's living now. Because this thing is almost over with, sisters and brothers. Now let's go back to Daniel's 11th chapter. Daniel's 11th chapter. Because this guy is going to be working at the behest of the Pope. That's why I was preaching close to 40 years that when England was a part of the European Union, I said they can't stay there. You know why? Because they was Protestant and not Catholic. And what happened? England is out of it. See, prophecy is the one that called it. All I had to do was read this book, sisters and brothers. It's going to tell it all. I know what's going on. So when I try to tell people they want to argue with me, hey, okay, so be it. If that's what you want, you got it. Why should I argue with you to save your life? Like somebody getting ready to jump off a building, off the Sears Tower, and I'm up there pleading with them, don't jump, don't jump. You know what I say, man, do you know what you're doing? Yeah, yeah. You sure? Yeah. Okay, sayonara. I'm not going to beg you to save your life. I'm going to tell you what to do. And if you don't want it, it's up to you. Daniel chapter 11. And we're going to start at verse 31. Daniel's 11 and verse 31. Okay, read it.
An arm shall stand on his part.
See, that's why I said that when he was assaulted, it took away the peace from the earth, and they're going to kill one another. An arm is going to stand on his part. What arm? 31 Western Europe armies, sisters and brothers, under the leadership of 10 nations. That's a big army, you know that? Yeah. They're going to stand on his part. Go ahead and read.
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
See, people think that, well, the Pope going to go there and the Jews love him and they're going to let him sit in the temple. No, they ain't going to do that. Them armies in the Western Europe going to go in there and they're going to take them down. And they're going to install the abomination that's desolate. But what about the United States? Sisters and brothers, the United States is not going to be a major player in this game. The least they can be is on one of the sides, Eastern Europe or Western Europe. When Trump was president, I started thinking maybe they're going to be on Russia's side. But things have changed now. We don't know where they're going to be, but they're not going to be the major player. Okay, go ahead and read.
32.
Uh-huh.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flattery.
Uh-huh.
But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploit.
Now, the people, he gonna use flattery to convert some of the people that's weak, sisters and brothers. And he gonna make them think that they godly and they holy. But he said, but the people that do know their God, they gonna do exploit. What are these exploits? They're gonna be teaching the people. No, this is not the way it's gonna be, man. Do you know who this guy is? This guy here is the one that Daniel called the Abomination of Desolation. He's the one that Matthew's one is about, that Jesus spoke about. He's gonna try to put a mark on you. You can't do that. And that's what's gonna happen when you start talking that way. Verse 33, go ahead and read.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many.
You're going to teach many, go ahead.
Yet they shall fall by the sword and by the flame, by captivity and spoil many days.
Didn't he say he's going to make war with the saints and prevail?
Yep.
Teaching this truth like we teaching it now, it's going to get very dangerous after a while. Will you be strong enough to stand up and keep teaching it? Go ahead and read.
Now when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help.
Uh-huh.
But many shall cleave to them with flattery.
Go ahead.
And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white even to the time of the end.
Uh-huh.
Because it is yet for a time appointed.
So what's going to happen? If you end up outside of the great tribulation and you start preaching, and you got another brother or sister you know that's preaching, all of a sudden they come up on him and beheaded. Revelation tell you about some going to be beheaded.
Yep.
I wonder will you still have the strength to keep preaching? You might say, well, you know, I'm going to make a strategic retreat. The Lord knows what he's going to do, so he ain't got to tell nobody.
Right.
That ain't going to work. You ain't going to be able to keep it. Go ahead and read.
36. And the king shall do according to his will,
Uh-huh.
and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god,
Uh-huh.
and shall speak marvelous things against the God of God.
Go ahead.
And shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished,
Uh-huh.
for that time is determined shall be done.
So he's called the king. He's going to exalt himself above every god. And God going to let him get away with it for a while. And if you have some truth, he won't be chopping your head off. He won't be killing you and your family, because y'all will be in the place of safety. And until this takes place, Jesus can't come. Let me show you. Let's go into 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. What did I miss one? Hold on.
Verse 37.
Verse 37. Go ahead and read it.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers,
I'm glad you said that. Go ahead.
nor the desire of women.
He going to be celibate. Don't need no woman. And all his priests, if you want to be a priest, you cannot have no wife. And that is something that always grabbed me. Right away, I knew that this guy wasn't from God, because God told, made man and woman. And the first commandment, I ain't talking about the 10, the very first commandment God gave was be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. This man telling you, if you're going to be a priest of God, you cannot marry. Therefore, you cannot be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. You just broke the first commandment. How you going to call yourself an operation of God?
Right. Yep.
Read that 37 again. Go ahead and read.
Neither shall he regard the God of his father, nor the desire of women,
Go ahead.
nor regard any God.
Go ahead.
For he shall magnify himself above all.
And that'll tell you. And if you read, look at the archives and read what the Catholic Church said. They tell you that we don't necessarily go along with the thing that's written in the Bible. See, my thing is I research. When I get up here and open my mouth, if you think, well, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, I will whip out some history on you. It's just like when I was in Washington Park, what's it, about 30 years ago, and I was talking about how that the Lord sent an angel and killed 185,000 Assyrians in one night that was trying to take down Judah and Zedekiah. When I got on, you got a Muslim get up there, you know, black Muslim, and made a joke out of it. He laughing, and everybody laughing. I didn't say nothing. That was on a Saturday evening. That Sunday evening, I come back with 2 history books to show that it happened with the same 2 guys, Hezekiah and Sennacherib. Told you that he killed a whole lot. 2 different histories. All of a sudden now, well, brother, we need to talk. You know, I was young then, and I was real arrogant sometimes. And I told him for me to talk, that means that we got something to trade. You ain't got nothing to trade with me. I will teach you if you got sense enough to listen. Because do your research. Then when you talk, can't nobody do nothing against you. So now, this guy, he's going to magnify himself above all and everything that's called God. Now let's go in the 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. Paul is talking about this same guy, but he's telling you, you're talking about people talking about the coming of the Lord? The Lord can't come before this happens. This is what people understand. The Lord can come any day. Yeah, he might come for you. But he can't come until the prophets say he can come. And the prophets then told it, and Paul is co-signing it here. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1. 2 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him.
Now he's talking about the coming of Jesus. When he said, our gathering together unto him, that means we're going to be caught up to meet him in the air, because he's already on his way down. That's why I never could understand what people talking about the Lord is going to take us to heaven. But in his Lord's Prayer, he said, thy kingdom come.
Right.
Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So now, I beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him, go ahead.
That ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled.
Go ahead.
Neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us.
He said, I don't want you to be shaken. Go ahead.
As that the day of Christ is at hand.
Look, I don't care if a spirit speaks in your ear. If I send you a letter or text you something, or you hear a voice, don't believe it concerning the coming of Jesus. Because I'm going to tell you what's got to happen before he comes. Go ahead and read.
Let no man deceive you by any means.
Let no man. Go ahead and read.
For that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
He said, don't let nobody deceive you by any means, because that day shall not come until there be a falling away first. Falling away from what? The truth, sisters and brothers.
Yep.
Just about everything you've been given in the name of the Lord is wrong. Everybody that's ever died is still dead. The only ones that's in heaven right now is Jesus the Father and the angels. Jesus told you 4 times in St. John the 6th chapter, he gonna raise them up at the last day. The Lord told Daniel in the 12th chapter, take your rest, and you will stand in your lot at the last day. 1 Corinthians 15 tells you, Jesus is the first fruit from the dead. And everybody in their order. Jesus is the first fruit, and those that are healed at his coming. Amen. All the things we have been taught is wrong. He said, so look, don't let nobody deceive you. Because the Lord shall not come until there be a falling away first. And that's what? The truth. I just named some of the things that you thought was the word of God until you start reading the book for yourself. And that man of sin be revealed. So everybody looking for the man of sin in the mafia. They're looking for him on the street. They're looking for him come from among the cartels, some wicked organization. But they fail to look in the pulpit. The Lord warned you about that when this started off. Look what it says here about this man of sin, the son of perdition. Go ahead and read.
Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God.
Didn't we read that in Daniel?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Or that is worship.
Uh-huh.
So that he, as God,
go ahead,
sitteth in the temple of God,
go ahead,
showing himself that he is God.
They're going to say Christ is back. Yep. Jesus told you in Matthew the 24th chapter, they're going to say he's in a secret place. He's in the desert. Go not forth. Because when I come, every eye going to see me, just like they see the lightning. He said, look, this guy opposes and accepted and exalted himself above every God. And he's going to sit in the temple of God, showing himself to be God. What temple? The ones that the people that call themselves Jews going to be built. They even conflicting over it. They're trying to say, well, some of them say, well, you know, the Messiah going to return and we build the temple, but the prevailing conversation is, we build a temple, then the Messiah going to come. Papa is going to be that one come after. But he is not the anointed one. He's going to sit in the temple of God, showing himself to be God. And ain't nobody going to be able to stop him because he's going to have great power behind him. Let's go into Daniel, the 8th chapter. Because Jesus told you, Daniel's told you about this guy. That's why he referred us to Daniel. And ain't nobody listening to Jesus, sister and brother. In fact, that's been the problem. Nobody ever listened to Jesus. Daniel chapter 8. And we're going to start reading at verse 24. Because the people that call themselves Jews, they're going to say, well, come on over, Holy Father. Instead in the temple, we have prepared you a place for it. That ain't going to happen. He going to come in the power of the European Union with 31 armies controlled by 10 nations. Go ahead and read. Verse 24. Go ahead.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power.
Go ahead.
And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Why this guy got a problem against the holy people? Because the Lord said he's going to make war with the saints and he's going to prevail. His power is going to be mighty, but not by his own power. We're going to find out where his power is going to come from. Go ahead and read.
And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
That's witchcraft. Go ahead and read.
And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many.
So how, in the name of what? In the name of peace, he's going to destroy many. We're going to step out to infidels.
Yep.
Go ahead and read.
He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand.
That means this guy going to be doing this until the Lord comes.
Yep.
And he going, because the Lord is the prince of princes, and he is going to be broken without hand. The Lord just going to grab him and put him in the lake of fire. But let's go into Revelation 13 chapter. Because it says power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Let's see who he really going to get his power from. And what spirit that all of these nations are working in. Revelation chapter 13. Because these nations over there, sister and brother, we are looking at them. We just read in this publication here that you got 10 that's in there. Yep. They there, sister and brother. We're not talking what we feel. We're talking what we know. Right. I don't ever tell people, believe me. Why should you believe me? You've been lied to in the name of the Lord all your life. Believe what you read. That's what you believe. 13:1. Revelation 13 and verse 1. Revelation 13 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Now this time, you have one beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. This represents the old Gentile dynasty from Nebuchadnezzar down to the European Union. What is this? What are the 7 heads it's talking about? Babylonian, 1 head. Medo-Persian represented 1 head. Then when you got the Greeks, that was 4 heads. Then the Romans, that made 7 heads. So to let you know what's coming up in European Union is the resurrection of the Gentile dynasty, or either Babylon the Great, or either Rome. Don't you know that all them 10 nations had to sign a treaty? You know what that treaty was called? The Treaties of Rome. The Lord got it so clear that his people cannot be deceived. We know what's going on. But go ahead and read.
And upon his horns 10 crowns.
That means that each one of them was a head of state, head of some nation. You know, like Germany. You got Germany head, you got France, head of this. Luxembourg, all of them are Catholic nations. All of them have their own leader, but they're going to give their power to one man. But go ahead and read.
And upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
Go ahead.
And his feet were as the feet of a bear.
Go ahead.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
Uh-huh.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Oh, so this composite beast here, that's why when you look at the cover on the book I had, the 4 winds of heaven, it represented all of them Gentile nations from Nebuchadnezzar down to the Roman Empire. And what happens is, and look, he said, and the dragon gave him his power, his seat, and great authority. Who is the dragon? So that is the power that they are working out of, sister and brother. The power of Satan. And the world don't know that. That's why I said you got to look at some history and you got to learn something. Because if you should find yourself living, you're going to be in trouble. And it's most likely, unless you real old, and I ain't real old, you're going to see some of this. You're going to see this. Go ahead and read.
3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death.
Go ahead.
And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast.
That deadly wound that was healed was the Roman head, sisters and brothers. All the world is running after him right now. We don't know it. Under the banner of religion. Go ahead and read.
And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast.
So if you're going to worship the beast, don't you worship the one that gave him the power?
Yep.
And that's dragon. Go ahead and read.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast?
Go ahead.
Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. That's
3.5 years, sister and brother. And the Lord going to let him do that. And if we find ourselves outside of the place of safety, and he put us in his crosshairs, he's going to whoop us, and the Lord going to allow it. Yeah. He's going to kill some of us, and the Lord going to allow it, sister and brother. That's why you better understand this. Go ahead and read.
6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God.
Yes, sir. I mean, whatever the book says. Whatever the Bible says. He opened his mouth and blasphemed against God. Go ahead and read.
And his tabernacle. And them that dwell in heaven.
Go ahead.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
That means he keep wanting to whoop on the saints, don't he?
Yep.
This is the religious guy. The one they think is the most holy guy on the planet. All he want to do is whoop on holy people and the saints. Why? Because you teach contrary to what he teach. Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11 and go ahead.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb. And he spake as a dragon.
Now this is not another new set of countries coming up. These two horns was talking about the leadership of this beast.
Yeah.
The man that's called a beast, you got a man that's called a beast as well as a country, and then you got one that's called a false prophet. Those are what those two horns represent. Go ahead and read.
And he exercised of all the power of the first beast before him.
Go ahead.
And causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
That's through religion. Go ahead and read.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Now, when that happens, you go say, yeah, that's Jesus, all right. That is the Lord. This beast is going to cause fire to come down from heaven. Might be somebody out there speaking against him. Shut up, imbecile. Poof, and burn him to death. Brother Boy, the Lord wouldn't allow that, will he? I'm going to show you something. Put your marker right in the 13th chapter. Put your marker here. And let's go into Job, the first chapter. Well, you're thinking, those people, well, the Lord wouldn't allow that to happen. The Lord, I'm going to tell you something, you don't know the Lord. If you knew the Lord, you would change your whole behavior. Job, the first chapter. That's why I see a lot of people that's supposed to be servants of God, but I listen to their conversations and watch their behavior. I say, you playing with yourself. But God ain't going to play with you. Job chapter 1. And we're going to start reading at verse 6. This is when Satan come before the Lord, and the Lord invited him to Job. Have you considered my servant Job? He's a righteous and upright man. Verse 6, go ahead.
Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord.
These sons of God are the angels that didn't follow after Satan, because they got angels that's keeping this thing under wrap. And who came with him? Go ahead and read.
And Satan came also among them.
Because why did he separate Satan? Because he disinherited Satan. He came among them, but go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said,
go ahead.
From going to and fro on the earth and from walking up and down in it.
I mean, he's all over, sisters and brothers. He can pass right through here. Don't you know the first devil that Jesus cast out was in the synagogue?
Yep.
I'm talking about the real synagogue, our forefathers. And where some of the people act around here sometime, I wonder. But anyway, we ain't going to get into that. Go ahead and read.
8. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? That there is none like him in the earth.
Go ahead.
A perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Has not thou made an hedge about him and about his house, and about all that he have on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. He
said, look, is Job serving you for nothing? You done protected everything he got, and everything he do prosper. You done made the man rich. Bring a little drum on him. Let's see if we'll still praise you. Go ahead and read.
11. But put forth thine hand now and touch all that he has.
Go ahead.
And he will curse thee to thy face.
Well, he said, but put forth your hand and take all that riches away from Job. You know what Job going to do? He's going to curse you by hand. Not only did he take his riches, he killed Job's children, sisters and brothers.
Yep, all of them.
But I'm going to show you by one of the means he killed some other people. Skip down to verse 16. That's what we're coming here for, because I want you to know that what's going to happen in the future ain't nothing new. Verse 16, read it.
While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven and have burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee.
See, the Lord brought drummer on Job, and drummer. Then as Satan did. And after a while, Satan caused fire to come down and kill Job's servants.
Yep.
So we that have some understanding will not be fooled when that happens in the future.
Right.
We're looking for it. Because Satan God giving Satan the power to do that like he gave Satan the power to mess with Job. But the one that's strong in the word of God will survive it. Let us go back to Revelation 13 chapter. I just want to let you know, when he called fire to come down from heaven in the sight of men, he was doing it in the strength of Satan, sisters and brothers, because Satan, that's one of his tools. And if you don't know it, you will be shocked. It's got to be God. Oh, can't nobody do that but God. Yeah, all angels can do it if the Lord give them permission, sisters and brothers. Yep. And Satan done tried it once. Now, Revelation 13, and we're going to start at verse 14. 13 and 14. Go ahead.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So, fire was one of the things that he used to deceive the people on earth. Then he's going to make an image of a beast. People talking about the computer. They got a movie on talking about the beast as a computer. Computer ain't going to fool nobody, sisters and brothers. This guy going to do something that ain't never been done. They actually going to make a statue. I don't know what it's going to look like. And what's he going to do with him? Go ahead and read.
15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast.
Go ahead.
That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
So they're going to actually make a statue. Everybody going to know the statue. There ain't going to be no computer. And this guy going to make that statue walk and talk. And once you see that, oh, this is the Lord for sure. Go ahead and read.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
To receive a mark on their foot or in their leg.
Right hand or in their
in their back or in their chest.
No, sir. Right hand or forehead.
Exactly what they do every Ash Wednesday. And the world ain't paying no attention to it. Now I know what the book says about the prophet, about a voice crying in the wilderness. Ain't nobody listening. And you got all the evidence so you can identify this guy. But ain't nobody listening. Go ahead and read. 17.
And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Now, are you prepared for that? You might have $500 in your pocket and you can't buy a hot dog. Let me see your hand. I don't see it in your forehead. Show me your hand. If you ain't got the mark, you can't buy no hot dog here. You heretic. Go ahead and read.
Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666.
Now, here's wisdom. We're going to look at some of that wisdom. That's the number of the beast, and his number is 666. Put it on the board. Let's look at this, sisters and brothers. Now, you see what's going on here? See, you have to come up with him with the Roman numerals. And so when you all add them up, sisters and brothers, look what it comes down to. 112 plus 554 is what? 666. You know what that means? Precarious, Billy died. Vicar of Christ. Do you know what vicar means? Replacement of Christ. That's why I say he's going to stand in the temple of God, showing himself to be God, sisters and brothers. All this evidence the Lord have out here, but don't nobody research and find out about it. So that's the crown. Put it up one more time. See, this is written on that crown. Did he say he's going to have a crown?
Yep.
You didn't know Papa over there wears a crown? And that's what's written on it. The vicar or the replacer of the Son of God. You know, sisters and brothers, this thing is going to end the same way it began. this Gentile dynasty is going to end the same way that the Gentile dynasty started. They're going to make a statue, and they're going to tell people you got to fall out and worship at the statue. If you don't, you will be killed. Let's go and look at it. Let's go into Daniel, the 3rd chapter. See, the Lord, this thing is just out here. If you know this book, you can look right at it. You know exactly what's going on. Sisters and brothers, I know exactly what's going on in this world. See, and the European Union was kind of hanging out under the umbrella of America until Trump got there. And when Trump started kicking all the Western allies and start sucking up to Russia and the Eastern allies, these guys said, we got to get about our own business. And they got together. And America will never be in there in between them no more. They're moving independent. And I said, there's one good thing I saw out of Trump's presidency. He made them Western Europeans realize that, partner, you got to stand for yourself. Revelation 3, Daniel's 3, and we're going to start at verse 1, because show you that it ended just like it started. That's why if you have some understanding, you will see and understand everything that's going to take place, because the Lord has made it so clear. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1, read it.
Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits.
Think about it. You know, isn't that something? What's the 3 cubits? Isn't that 6?
Yeah.
And 6 cubits, isn't that 6?
Yeah.
But we got 2 of the 6, right? Go ahead and read.
He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon.
Now he set it up. Now once he set it up, then he had a decree made. Skip down to verse 4. Verse 4 and read it.
Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages.
Because Nebuchadnezzar was over the whole world. Go ahead and read.
That at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet.
At the sound of the cornet, how many? That's 1 music instrument. Go ahead and read.
Flute.
2.
Harp.
3.
Sackbut.
4.
Psaltery.
5.
Dulcimer.
6.
And all kinds of music. Ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king have set up.
So how many instruments was it, sister and brother?
6.
The statue was 60 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and when you hear 6 musical instruments play, you had to fall on your feet and worship. If you didn't, you had consequences coming. Go ahead.
And whoso falleth not down and worship shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
So you heard about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, don't you?
Yeah.
They said, look, we know our God can protect us.
Right.
But whether he will, we don't know. But it's one thing we do know. We ain't going to fall down to that statue.
No.
And it got cast in the lake of fire, and the Lord delivered them. Mm-hmm. That lets you know your faith is your shield, sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
So it's going to start out, it's going to end the way it started, sisters and brothers. Now let's go into Daniel, the 12th chapter. That's why Jesus referred you to Daniel, because Daniel's going to let you know what's going on. You better look out for this guy, because he's coming. And you go to church tomorrow, pick you one, and go in. You ain't going to never hear nothing like that. Ask about it. Who is the Abomination of Desolation? They look at you like you was escaped from Mantina. That's the crazy house. Daniel 12 and 1. Okay, go ahead.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people.
Go ahead.
And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time.
Go ahead.
And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book.
That's in the first resurrection.
Yeah.
The whole nation going to be delivered, all of it, but then said Michael going to stand up. Michael, he is the warrior. He is the captain of the Lord's host.
Yeah.
And because he's going to stand up, you got the people that call themselves Jehovah's Witnesses say that Michael is Jesus. You understand? Michael is not Jesus. Jesus created Michael at the commandment of the Father, sisters and brothers. But he's the warranty. Chief. When the Lord got ready to throw Satan out of heaven, do you think the Lord going to walk over there and grab Satan? No, he told Michael, you and your angels, throw them out. And everyone that's followed them. Yep. These sisters and brothers, these things here we supposed to know. And if you don't, you keep coming here, you will know them. Because they ain't going to tell you about Weeping Thomas. And I couldn't care less about old Paul and his behavior. It's what he wrote. That's what I care about. Go ahead and read. What verse?
2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Some to everlasting life.
Go ahead.
And some to shame and everlasting contempt.
So he spoke about both resurrections. These two resurrections are 1,000 years apart. But the first one comes after the great tribulation. That's why it's a time of trouble such as never have was since there was a nation, even to the same time. How many times are you going to have trouble today and never been before?
One time.
This is the trouble that Matthew was talking about in the 24th chapter. But go ahead and read.
3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament.
That means you will make the first resurrection. Because the Lord is a spirit, is a being of light. Go ahead and read.
And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever.
Go ahead.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book.
He says, I want you to shut up the word and seal the book. Go ahead and read.
Even to the time of the end.
Even to the time of the end. This ain't for your time, Daniel. This is end time stuff. Go ahead.
Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
This is the key. Knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge. Many gonna run to and fro on earth, and knowledge gonna be increased. Did you get knowledge out of your former church? You ain't never heard of stuff like this. And knowledge shall be increased. Go ahead and read.
5. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river.
These are the angels now. He's listening to it. Go ahead and read.
And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he had held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear,
go ahead,
by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time.
That's 1 year.
Time.
That's 2 and 1. That's 3. Go ahead.
And a half.
3.5 years. 42 months. 160 days. 3.5 years. And what's going to happen? Go ahead and read.
And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished.
And he going to scatter, sisters and brothers. I'm talking about once the false prophet and his beast servant scatter the holy people, then the Lord is going to bring an end to it. Go ahead and read.
And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end.
Now let's keep telling you that this ain't the end. It's not Daniel's time, is it?
No.
It's at the time of the end. Go ahead and read.
Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
That's why when I keep showing people something and they keep kicking against it, I walk away from them. Because they're wicked. They ain't going to understand because they don't want to understand. But the wise are going to say, tell me more. Could you show me some more of that? That's the one. Go ahead and read.
And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up,
go ahead,
there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days.
Go ahead.
But go thy way till the end be.
But go thy way till the end be. Go ahead and read.
For thou shalt rest.
For thou shalt rest.
And stand in thy lot at the end of the day.
And stand in thy lot at the end of the days. Daniel ain't going to see all this stuff. When he wake up, it's going to be over with.
Yep.
But he said, seal up the book until the end be. This is not for you. You're going to die, And you're going to be raised up again at the end of days. Boy, that's a real good promise to die with, ain't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. So sisters and brothers, the Lord have already set this thing in order. But it all starts with the temple that's going to be built in Jerusalem. Now let's go into Revelation 11 chapter. Revelation chapter 11. I know if you're new, you ain't going to understand a whole lot of this, but you keep coming, and after a while, this becomes second nature to you. That's why I tell brother when I'm out of town, I get ready to go out of town, I should remember now, you preaching to some educated people in the Word of God. So you better make sure what you say is right. Because if you're not, they're going to be on the phone with me before you walk away from the rostrum. You're not teaching to any uninformed people. That's what I tell people a lot of time. And then sometimes people go and they're dealing with people that don't know nothing, and they teaching them like they're teaching y'all. I said, no, now. I said, you trying to give meat to children. You have to start children out with milk. Revelation 11, and start at verse 1. 11 and 1. Go ahead.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
Uh-huh.
And the angel stood, saying, Rise,
Go ahead.
and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein.
Now, this is the temple that Zerubbabel is going to be built, not the one over there. Because the Lord ain't going to let the temple be built on the temple site. Where's the temple going to be built that these people are going to build? Read the next verse.
But the court, which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
That's that 3.5 years again, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want them to build on the temple site. They trying to find it. They ain't gonna build it on the temple site because the Lord had already decreed it. So they're gonna build it in the place that's called the courtway of the temple. And it said, and you're gonna give it to the Gentiles. And they're going to tread it underfoot for 42 months. That means Papa going to move into that temple, and he's going to be there and create death and destruction for 3.5 years. Ain't that 42 months?
Yep.
So the Lord even tell you how to locate where the headquarters of this abomination of desolation. He had the angel show it to John. So let's go over to the 17th chapter of Revelation. 17th chapter of Revelation. Because the Lord had this pointed out, sisters and brothers. I'm talking about he fixed it so we cannot help but know who's who. That's if you want to know. If you don't want to know, I don't care what I dump on you. You just go ahead. Yeah, right, whatever. I've had people actually question the Bible. Bible contradicts itself. How would you know? You don't read it. Revelation 17 and verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
Why is she called the great whore that sitteth upon many waters? That's because the great religion that said it represents God. But Israel, spiritually, is the real church of God and physical. So anybody that comes saying that they're the true church of God and not Israel, the Lord called them a whore. And he said that sits over many waters. That means they rule over many people. Go ahead and read.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication.
And they do, the kings of the earth. And even when they go to Italy, what do they do to go to Vatican City and kiss what? Kiss the ring. Obama kissed it. And all the ones before him and after him if they go to Italy. Go ahead and read.
And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
The wine of her fornication is this false religion, and they drunk with it. I don't care how much book you show them. I don't care what the Bible said, my pastor said. Ain't he supposed to be teaching the Bible?
Yep.
Go ahead and read.
3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
So here comes this woman with this beast. This beast represents the European Union, Western Europe. And so the woman was sitting on the beast. So if she's sitting on the beast, that means she is the one that's ruling it, ain't it?
Yep.
You ride a horse. Who's running it? You are the horse. Go ahead and read.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls.
Go ahead.
Having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
I mean, that cup is full of false religion. That's all it's saying. Go ahead and read.
And upon her forehead was a name written.
Go ahead.
Mystery, Babylon the Great.
Go ahead.
The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
So a whole lot of little daughter churches come out of it. But why Babylon the Great? Because Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon was the first Gentile and first nation, period, to rule the whole world. So that began the Gentile dynasty, sisters and brothers. But go ahead and read.
6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration.
Drunken with the blood, because she's going to kill a lot of us, sisters and brothers. The only guarantee you have to keep breathing is get to the place of safety. Go ahead and read.
And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman.
Go ahead.
And of the beast that carrieth her, which have the 7 heads and 10 horns.
See, why are you marveling? I'll tell you, I'm going to show you the mystery. I'll tell you to show you the mystery of this woman. Go ahead and read.
The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is.
So now, when it says that was and is not and yet is, people don't know it. This Roman Empire have not gone away. You just don't know it. Now it's festering and finna make his last run at this earth to run it again. And the ones that don't accept this, those are the people that don't believe in Jesus, who was slain from the foundation of the world. What you mean the foundation of the world, Brother Boer? When Adam and Eve ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's when Jesus had to die. Because the creation had been messed up and death was introduced. But go ahead and read.
9. And here is a mind which have wisdom.
Go ahead.
The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth.
So you want to know where her headquarters is? Find whatever nation is that sits on 7 hills of 7 mountains. We're going to find this out in the history book. This book we call, it's a pictorial history of the Italian people. Page 28, and then go to page 31. Read it.
Servius Tullius, in the 6th century BC, was the Roman Solon, and he introduced a classification of citizens for military and electoral purposes, very similar to the attributed to Solon in Athens in 594.
Go ahead.
According to legend, he built the walls encircling Rome's 7 hills.
So Rome is built on 7 hills. Go ahead.
Page 31. Romans were now confident in their own strength when, after over 30 years of nearly continual fighting, this round of wars ended. The small, independent townships centered on the 7 hills had become a state embracing most of what is today's Latium and parts of Umbria.
Now, so Rome is built on 7 hills. And what's smack dab in the middle of Rome? Vatican City. That's the mind that have wisdom. It just lets you know where to look to find out. The headquarters of this great religion it is in Italy, which actually is the one that started the Roman Empire, which is built on 7 hills. Now let's go into Revelation. Now let's go Skip down, let's go skip down to verse 12 now. Verse 12. And go ahead.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast.
We're looking at these 10 horns, sisters and brothers. We're looking at them. It wasn't for Daniel. It wasn't for John. It was for our consumption. So we will know what's going on. This is because these are 10 kings, which have not received kingdom as yet, but they received them now. Go ahead and read.
These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
It's in one mind. That means there had to be one religion. That's why England had to get out of it. Every one of them are Catholic. And they're going to give their power to the beast, which might be this DeLorean we're talking about. But go ahead and read.
These shall make war with the Lamb.
They're going to make war with who?
The Lamb.
That means that Jesus is going to come in the days of these European Union kings over here, sisters and brothers. Y'all understand what you're reading?
Yeah.
These shall make war with the Lamb. Go ahead and read.
And the Lamb shall overcome them.
Go ahead.
For he is Lord of lords.
Go ahead.
And King of kings.
Go ahead.
And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
And they are the people that's going to be in the first resurrection.
Yes, sir.
I want to be changed and be in this fight. But if I should so happen to slip away, I'm going to be raised and I'll still be in this fight. This is what we're looking for, sisters and brothers. They're going to make war with Jesus, and Jesus is going to prevail. Let's go and look at this war. Let's go into Revelation, the 19th chapter. Revelation chapter 19, and we're going to start at verse 11. Revelation 19 and verse 11. Okay, go ahead.
And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True.
Go ahead.
And in righteousness he doth judge and make war.
Now, I don't know about to tell you about this, don't you? This is Jesus. He judged and he make war. Go ahead and read.
His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns.
Go ahead.
And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself.
Go ahead.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean.
Now he come with all the angels of heaven now. I mean, all of them are with him. And let's see what's going to happen when he starts his descent. Skip down to verse 19. Verse 19 and go ahead.
And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army.
Go ahead.
And the beast was taken.
Now that's man, that lets you know they ain't got no knowledge. How is it that men going to make war with Jesus and the angels? That's a no-win situation. They gathered together to make war with him that sat on the horse and his angels. Go ahead and read.
And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him.
Go ahead.
With which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast.
That lets you know that the false prophet is the one that made the statue talk. It was the false prophet that caused the fire to come down from heaven. Go ahead and read.
And them that worship his image, these both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone.
See, these two men, the Lord don't have to stand in judgment. They've been judged already. Their mind is evil. And ain't no turning it around. Go ahead. What happened to the rest of them? Go ahead and read.
And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth.
Go ahead.
And all the fowls were filled with their flesh.
Now, there's going to be so many killed, the animals and the birds are going to have to eat the bodies. Let's go and look at them quickly. Let's go into Isaiah, the 66th chapter. Isaiah 66, and I got 3 more places, and you'll be out, 4 more places, and you'll be out of here. Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66. Because, sisters and brothers, this is what you call a meat and potato lesson. You understand this because you got to, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself in trouble like you ain't never seen before. Well, I don't believe it. That's all right. It's still going to happen. Isaiah 66, and we're going to start reading at verse 15. Verse 15. Go ahead.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Go ahead.
For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh.
Go ahead.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many.
See, because when the Lord comes, he's going to kill a lot of people too. But go ahead and read.
They that sanctify themselves.
Not the one that the Lord sanctified, or his word sanctified, people that sanctify themselves. Go ahead and read.
And purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst.
Following Satan. Go ahead and read.
Eating swine's flesh.
Still, he's going to get you for eating pig, but go ahead.
And the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory.
Now, when they come to see the Lord, which is going to be in Jerusalem at that time, because he will have returned, you're going to see something else too. Skip down to verse 23 and read it.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me.
Go ahead.
For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
That let me know that the lake of fire is not in existence right now, like people think is in hell. Because when he bring it into existence, you will be able to see it. All you got to do is catch your plane and go to Jerusalem, go in and look at the fire. And you're going to be able to see them, sister and brother. Just these two men. Ain't nobody going to be in there until after the 1,000 years. Now let's go back to Revelation, the 17th chapter. Revelation chapter 17. There's a lot of new people taking notes too. Boy, y'all sure do a lot of revelation. I said, yeah, that book that your preacher told you not to go into. Because revelation means something's going to be revealed.
Right. Big time.
Maybe even you. So you don't want to go nowhere where stuff is revealed. Revelation 17 and verse 15. 17 and 15. Okay, go ahead.
And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. So
to let you know, when it's talking about come up from the waters, or the water that she's over, that's talking about people. All over the earth, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 18 and go ahead.
And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
Now we're going to go and find out what is that great city called. We're going to go to the Italian people. The history of the Italian people, page 227. Read it.
Of importance in eternal policies were changes in the relations between Italy and the papacy. And in the status of the Jewish minority, Pius XI Rati, who saw in fascism an efficient bulwark against communism, was Pope during most of the fascist period. The Lateran Treaty, negotiated by the able Cardinal Gaspari and signed on February 11, 1929, ended the conflict between the Italian state and the papacy. The latter renounced all claims on former papal territories in exchange for the creation of the independent state of Vatican City.
The Vatican City wasn't around until before World War II. But Italy and the papacy always fought over who ruled. So they made a deal. Okay? Mussolini made this deal. So that's where Vatican City, that is that great city that rules over the world.
Yep.
Go somewhere and ain't no Catholic. Tell me. They even got them all over the African continent. Eating up Central and South America. What about Russia? Got Catholics there. Now let's go into Daniel, the 7th chapter again. And let's show you what's going to happen. Daniel the 7th. Two more after this. Daniel 7. And we're going to start reading at verse 11. Daniel 7 and verse 11. Daniel 7 and 11. Okay, go ahead.
I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake.
That's the great words which the Pope at that time spoke. Go ahead and read.
I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time.
Now, we saw where the Lord cast the beast and the false prophet into the lake of fire, right?
Yep.
He killed their armies, but the rest of the nation, he let them stay around. Go ahead and read.
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him.
That's Jesus come, and they brought him near before the Father, because the Father told in Luke, the first chapter, he said the Lord God is going to give him the throne of his father David. But go ahead and read.
And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
That kingdom is going to be on this earth, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 23 and go ahead.
Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces.
Go ahead.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them.
Go ahead.
And he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
Go ahead.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
Go ahead.
And think to change times and laws.
He's done it, but go ahead.
And they shall be given into his hand until a time, and times, and the dividing of time.
3.5 years. Go ahead and read.
But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it until the end.
Go ahead.
And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him.
So the Lord going to come with the angels, and the saints going to meet him in the air. He's going to take down this earth. He's going to knock off this abomination of desolation. And the people in the first resurrection are going to run this whole earth with Jesus, sister and brother. Now let's go quickly to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. One more place after that. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. The Lord have it all mapped out. You just have to take your time and dig it up. Read it. Research. The Lord said, prove him. 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, and we start at verse 5. Look what Paul said here. 2 and 5. Okay, go ahead.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things.
He said, remember you not that while I was with you, I told you these things. Go ahead.
And now ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time.
And now you know what's going to happen, that he might be revealed in his time. What time is that? That is our time, sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
For the mystery of iniquity doth already work.
It started under the Roman Empire. Paul was under the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So it's already working. Go ahead and read.
Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way.
Go ahead.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth.
Go ahead.
And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
So who going to put the false prophet away? The Lord that is coming. Ain't that correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders.
Who gave Europe, Western Europe, his seat, power, and great authority?
Satan.
Satan. That's why Papa's work going to be after the work of Satan. Go ahead and read.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Now look, the people that perish, that's because they don't want the truth, sisters and brothers. That's why the Lord said this truth should go out as a witness into all the world, then shall the end come. Now let's go back to the last place, back in Matthew the 24th chapter, where we started. Because the Lord, once he told them, his apostles, all that, then he told them something else too. Matthew 24. Matthew 24, and we're going to start reading at 23. Then we're going to skip down. Matthew 24. Matthew 24. And we're going to start reading at 23. Okay, go ahead.
Then, if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not.
So now, this guy going to sit in that temple, and Jesus is going to say, now look, when they come and tell you that Christ is back, and he is in the temple in Jerusalem, he said, don't believe it.
Believe it.
I'm going to tell you how I'm coming. Skip down to verse 25. Verse 25 and go ahead.
Behold, I have told you before.
Go ahead.
Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth.
Go ahead.
Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not.
Don't believe it. Go ahead.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west,
Go ahead.
so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
He's letting you know I'm coming from heaven. I ain't going to sneak up on this earth.
No.
When I come, every eye going to see me. Go ahead and read.
For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
In other words, watch Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened.
Go ahead.
And the moon shall not give her light.
Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
All of this stuff got to happen. Somebody said, where the Lord is black in the temple, the moon have not turned red, the sun haven't turned black, and the stars are still up there. What you talking about? Don't believe it. What verse is that?
We had 30.
Okay, go ahead.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
Uh-huh.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Go ahead.
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
So when you see the sun and moon and stars be darkened, then you know that the Lord has come. He's on his way. He's going to come with great power and glory. What verse?
We have 31.
Go ahead and read.
And he shall send his angel with a great sound of a trumpet.
Uh-huh.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
Now that's when he's going to deliver Israel, sisters and brothers. Not a day before. That's after he comes, sisters and brothers. That's why I never wanted to go to Jerusalem. Because it's the wrong place to be right now. Anybody over there, if the Lord get them expelled, that's because he love them. Yep. Because there's going to be some hard stuff go down over there, and you do not want to be there. What verse?
32.
Go ahead.
Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh.
So when you look at the fig tree, when it started to bud and everything, you know the summer is near. Go ahead and read.
So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.
Now, let me show you how people have messed that up. People say, well, you see, the Bible says you don't know, you know when the end is near, when you can't tell the winter from the summer. That didn't say that, did it?
No.
It's telling you when you watch the fig tree, when you see it start to bud and green leaves start to come up, you know the end is near. So he's telling you, just like you know that, you look at these signs.
Right.
Then you know that the end is near. Go ahead and read.
Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all things be fulfilled. What
generation is he talking about? This generation. We see these things, and the Lord letting us know it will not pass until all this is fulfilled.
Right.
So sisters and brothers, you talking about living in biblical days, we are smack dab in the end of it. We're going to see this thing.
Yes, we are.
Thank you for your time. Now we have the announcements. So I want to say this here, sisters and brothers. Sometimes people get this thing confused about the 3.5 years of Great Tribulation. That's before the Lord come. And that's when during the time when the people of the saints going to be in the wilderness for them 3.5 years. Now, after the 3.5 years, Jesus is going to come, take down the beast and the false prophet. Then he's going to set up in the wilderness, and he's going to teach for 3.5 years before he go to the land, okay? But anyway, we find out that some people don't know what urns mean. That is a vase with the ashes of your dead loved ones in it, Okay? That's an urn. Somebody died, you have them cremated, then you put the ashes in a vase or a pot. Some of them put it on necklaces, put it in trinkets around the neck. You are unclean, all right?